reform.
Encyclopedic knowledge.
But it's an important area.
It
Obviously.
is. It's a super important area. You know, I like to DeKalb is just about the most Democratic county in Georgia. You know, I was born and raised there, up in North DeKalb, in a city named after a Confederate general. It used to be all red.
So it is DeKalb.
It is.
I've always thought it was DeKalb.
Guys, I want to go over this viral dancing Democrat. There was a Democrat that was dancing, and he went viral. I want to go over that. Check it out, guys.
Here we say DeKalb. I hear it in Illinois. Some Cobb. I was like, oh. But no, when I was growing up, you know, in high school, I had all, you know, Republican state rep, Republican state senator, Republican congressman, and then I worked for John Ossoff's 2015 campaign or 2017 campaign as an intern when I was just a little kid. Started knocking doors, started a high school Democrats club, and now there are no more Republicans in North DeKalb.
Interesting.
So yeah,
You scared them away.
Yeah, you scared them away.
Yeah.
I think you might have scared them away with some of your dancing moves. So, Parker, that is how we're just gonna have to introduce you to the cat here, my friend Mac, producer Mac. Can we cue this up, please, and put this up there on the screen? Emily was very excited when she got a DM from you. Parker, it was
rare.
Yeah, that's right. The first time a male DM to Emily actually resulted in something. So this is Parker. You guys recognize him.
Now, talking. What song is this?
What is it?
Play it.
Not like us by Kendrick Lamar. Come on,
That's in the arena this
That is
week,
in
right?
the arena.
Parker,
You can
what night
song
was
it is
that?
just
So
by how-
that was
just by how he's
that was
so hyped.
That was when Kamala, just a little kid, started knocking doors, started a high school Democrats club, and now there are no more Republicans in North DeKalb.
Interesting.
So yeah,
You scared them away.
Yeah, you scared them away.
Yeah.
I think you might have scared them away with some of your dancing moves. So, Parker, that is how we're just gonna have to introduce you to the cat here, my friend Mac, producer Mac. Can we cue this up, please, and put this up there on the screen? Emily was very excited when she got a DM from you. Parker, it was
rare.
Yeah, that's right. The first time a male incoming DM to Emily actually resulted in something. So this is Parker. You guys recognized him. So
Now, talking. What song is this?
what is it?
Play it.
not like us by Kendrick Lamar. Come on,
That's in the arena this
That is
week,
in
right?
the arena.
Parker,
You can
what
tell
what
night
song
was
it is
that?
just
So
by how-
that was
just by how he's so hyped.
That was when Kamala came to Atlanta for her first rally,
Okay.
big announcing, and you know, it was extraordinarily exciting because it started off with Stacey Abrams, who's registered 800,000 voters in the state of Georgia. Then our two senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who flipped the state blue and allowed Joe Biden to achieve everything in his legislative agenda. And then we had Megan Thee Stallion, and then they tell me that Kamala Harris is coming out and they play one of my favorite songs. So I'm excited for the next generation, and of course, I was having fun with all my Georgia Democrat friends at GSU.
So you were pumped up. All right. So
yeah.
Parker, young guy, tell us, Michelle Obama, one of the things we're going to talk about, talked about the feeling of a pit in their stomach yesterday. Kind of a little subtle dig at Joe Biden there, since he literally was. I don't believe she didn't even say his name, which we'll get to in a little bit. So then, as somebody part of the activist faithful in the state of Georgia, obviously a critical state for Joe Biden, barely won it by what, some 10,000 votes.
11,779.
Oh wow! Well, look at this kid. I'm dealing with a professional over here.
A young Ryan.
Hey,
Trump
Trump
this is a young
remembered.
Ryan Grimm.
Young
Trump
Ryan got the
remembered.
Grimm.
Also, and let's put Parker in context too.
Yeah.
You were telling us earlier. Now, talking. What song is this?
What is it?
Play it.
Not like us by Kendrick Lamar. Come on,
That's in the arena this
That is
week,
in
right?
the arena.
Parker,
You can
what
tell what
night
song
was
it is
that?
just
So
by how-
that was
just by how he's so hyped.
That was when Kamala came to Atlanta for her first rally, big announcing, and you know, it was extraordinarily exciting because it started off with Stacey Abrams, who's registered 800,000 voters in the state of Georgia. Then our two senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who flipped the state blue and allowed Joe Biden to achieve everything in his legislative agenda. And then we had Megan Thee Stallion, and then they tell me that Kamala Harris is coming out and they play one of my favorite songs. So I'm excited for the next generation, and of course, I was having fun with all my Georgia Democrat friends at GSU.
So you were pumped up. All right. So Parker, young guy, tell us, Michelle Obama, one of the things we're going to talk about, talked about the feeling of a pit in their stomach yesterday. Kind of a little subtle dig at Joe Biden there, since he literally was. I don't believe she didn't even say his name, which we'll get to in a little bit. So then, as somebody part of the activist faithful in the state of Georgia, obviously a critical state for Joe Biden, barely won it by what, some 10,000 votes.
11,779.
Oh wow! Well, look at this kid. I'm dealing with a professional over here.
A young Ryan.
Hey,
Grimm.
Trump
this is a young
remembered.
Ryan Grimm.
Young
Trump
Ryan got the
remembered.
Grimm.
Also, and let's put Parker in context too.
Yeah.
You were telling us earlier that your journey was what, Bernie, Warren, Biden, or like
Well,
where do you put your politics?
I like to consider myself. I like to consider myself, a progressive, whatever that word may mean. I am a fan of the show. I will say. I tell my friends to watch it. My favorite news is the PBS NewsHour. I'm breaking points. So I definitely. I'm a Union Democrat. I'm a Southern Democrat, but I voted for Bernie in 2020.
Sure.
So, I definitely consider myself a little bit more on the left, but, I want to get things done.
Okay, so tell us then about what it was like for you and all the people around you in the interim, after the debate. You can speak freely now, right? He's gone.
I know.
Don't worry about it. All right, so
he's still the president.
What was it like? Yeah, well, for our purpose.
That's kind of. I kind of feel bad for Joe Biden. I kind of feel bad. He's just gone. He's gone. Like he's gone both in his position as president, but also as a human being, mentally gone. That's sad, man.
He's not gone. Yeah.
All right. So what was it like? What was it like in that 3-week period or whatever after the debate? How were you guys feeling? And then talk to us about what it was like when Kamala became, or when Joe Biden dropped out. Kamala's a presumptive nominee. Were you guys excited? Like, talk to us about that feeling.
It was like the Easter resurrection. Just be real, man. It was like the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Belief, etc.
Oh yeah. So I'll just start with the debate. Look, I got invited to the Georgia Democrat debate party.
Yeah.
And I did not go. I was not as a slight. I went to the Gwinnett Young Democrats debate first. I watched the first 5-10 minutes. I watched the first 5-10 minutes, and I was like, I need to go home. I need to go home. And you know what? I love and respect Joe Biden. He has been a great public servant. He was elected as the youngest senator in the country. He's had a very interesting journey. But you know what? Thank God that he had the political sense to step aside and put his country first, because Trump has put his party and himself over his country and the Constitution. And Joe Biden knew that he wasn't the candidate and it wasn't the time. And I respect the man, and push comes to shove. There's no way I was voting for Donald Trump. But, after that debate, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Because I was a delegate, and we were wringing our hands for a couple weeks. And I would have, if you would have asked me 3 months ago if Democrats were going to win Georgia, I would have been very frank with you.
Yeah.
I would have said no. I love Georgia politics, and I didn't think we were setting ourselves up to win. We are now setting ourselves up to win.
Interesting.
Can
I ask a question on that? Because I've been reading some conservative media this morning even, but throughout the week, saying that, every convention, obviously we all understand this, is super stage managed. Mm-hmm. It's meant to put the party looking like it has the most hype as is humanly possible. And it's, they're kind of used to doing that. They've done it before. So some people in conservative media are like, that magic that Michelle Obama referenced yesterday, it's not real. It's a sugar high during the week of the convention. It sounds to me like what you're saying, Parker, is, and this has been my impression just walking through the arena yesterday, it actually does feel real. It feels quite electric to me.
Does.
People seem genuinely excited about Kamala Harris, which is interesting because just a couple months ago, people were worried about Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. What's the change?
Well, you know what? I will say, as a Georgia Democratic activist or whatever you want to call it, she has made every single right decision. I have young friends in Georgia politics, in the Democratic Party, just about the most far left and most far right person you're going to find in the Georgia Democratic Party. They both about jumped out of their seats when Tim Walz was the choice. I think she has made so many wonderful choices throughout her campaign. We've got 24 campaign offices in the state of Georgia. I love her staff in the state of Georgia. They are really doing a good job.
Yeah, but isn't it Biden's staff? Isn't just a Biden?
Yeah, but Biden's staff, they had hired Quentin Folks, who ran Warnock's campaign, to be the deputy campaign manager. So they had a lot of Georgia focus, and all the folks that we had on the ground have been doing it for years.
Okay.
Look, I love Stacey Abrams, but too many folks came from out of state on that election.
Yeah.
You want people who have been there doing it, and they have such a great campaign. They're out there knocking doors, and as I said, 11,779 votes made the difference that time. That's a field margin. That is a field margin in a presidential race, and the
what
way
does that
that
mean? Explain that.
Well, that's basically, the energy and folks out there knocking doors when you got volunteers like me, who when I was a little kid, I went and knocked tens and thousands of doors for John Ossoff and my state House and state Senate candidate. And, I organized my high school Democrats club, and we knocked more than 300,000 doors for this guy that ran for state House up in North DeKalb. And you know what? He won by 1,400 votes. And then Lucy McBath won the seat that John Ossoff lost by 3,000 votes. So it shows that you can really fight and you can get in there and make the difference. A field margin is basically like, are you out there? Are you doing the work? Are you organized? And look, we're making the difference. And I will just say, I think the most important thing is down ballot candidates. I love to tell people who's your state house rep, who's your state senator, who's your county commissioner, because that is really what impacts your life. And when you get engaged with those elections, we've got young folks running for state house and state senate in Georgia. One of my best friends is 23. He's a middle school math teacher in Atlanta, and he's running against an anti-education Republican. And the reason I became president is because I was his vice president. He stepped down.
I'm going to let that slide. Because I like you, Parker. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. I'm curious, we hear a lot about Gaza and how that
because that is really what impacts your life. And when you get engaged with those elections, we've got young folks running for state house and state senate in Georgia. One of my best friends is 23. He's a middle school math teacher in Atlanta, and he's running against an anti-education Republican. And the reason I became president is because I was his vice president. He stepped down.
I'm going to let that slide. Because I like you, Parker. But go ahead, Ryan.
I'm curious, we hear a lot about Gaza and how that affects young people.
Yeah.
What was the case when it came to Gaza and young people's support in Georgia for Biden, and has that changed with Harris? And where do you think it will go if we don't get a ceasefire deal and the slaughter just continues, which looks like everybody's saying, "Oh, deal's right around the corner." We'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's truly just heartbreaking what is going on. And I recently graduated from the University of Michigan, and there was a lot of campus protests there. And, I was just heartbroken by the situation. I have not felt that it has been handled well. And I think Joe Biden particularly has evolved in the past couple months in his handling of it. But I have to respect and appreciate when Kamala came into the spotlight, when she came into her own, and she has the ability to make these decisions. Before her rally in Detroit, in Michigan, where 78% of the city of Dearborn, 100,000 voters, went and voted uncommissioned, she met with the uncommitted movement before her rally. She's hearing us. Look, all respect to Joe Biden, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And she is out here. She is trying. And, Trump is doing the exact opposite. I think if you want a candidate that at all values human rights in the Middle East, I think Kamala's the clear choice, because Trump just tried to nuke the deal by calling them and pressuring Israel, which is not only extraordinarily illegal, but undiplomatic. He's literally trying to stop peace from being found.
So, Parker, I want to ask you, because you have got intimate knowledge of the state of Georgia. You're talking about those 11,000 votes. Who are the swing? What's like the swing demographic this time around? Because for us looking in, it's really interesting, right? Because we've got Brian Kemp, pretty popular governor. Raffensperger survives despite Trump coming in against him. But clearly there is a Kemp Kamala voter out there.
There are
Talk to me about that.
50,000 voters in the state of Georgia that voted for Brian Kemp and Raphael Warnock at the same time.
That's crazy to me.
That is crazy.
Who are they? Yeah.
They're the wine moms up in Dunwoody that I've been canvassing. They're the soccer moms. Yeah. They're the voters that aren't really engaged, or folks that turn out, or folks that don't fill out their ballot all the way.
Okay.
It's very strange how it works. But in 2020, the candidate got the most votes in the Senate runoff wasn't Ossoff or Warnock. It was the Republican candidate for Public Service Commissioner, Bubba McDonald. And you know why? Because his name is Lauren Bubba McDonald. And there's a Lauren Bubba McDonald Jr.
Of course there is.
Yeah, that's Georgia. That's Georgia Republican politics.
Of course
he got more votes than anybody, because Republicans in the state of Georgia were not going to go out and vote for, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, who truly represent elitism in this country. Sure. And they abandoned our state. I mean, they're focused on stock prices instead of Georgia.
David Perdue had the greatest ad in political history. It said officially exonerated in his ad.
What was that again?
Incredible messaging.
He was accused of
Dollar General.
Dollar General. I apologize. Yeah. I get mine mixed up.
Insider trading and
So I have
officially
a
exonerated.
Well, I think this is a perfect time for us to take some questions from the chat.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna probably wrap our friend over here, unless you have one last.
Yeah, while Stalker's looking for a question from the chat, I just want to ask, because it seems to me that there is an element of Kamala Harris going from arguably, actually statistically, the most unfavorable vice president in modern history to somebody who now has, as we just talked about, this really legitimate energy around her. It's real.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, is part of that just because young people like yourself are so excited that you don't have to vote for Joe Biden? Is that what's driving some of the enthusiasm here? Or is there something about Kamala Harris?
I don't think it's just that. As I said, I think Kamala has made every single right decision since she stepped into the spotlight. I've been very impressed by the way she's managing her campaign. But, It's not just about Joe Biden. I think the truth of it is the fact that he stepped down shows something in American politics, shows that he was willing to put himself aside and look for something new, look for something fresh, and voters respect that, young and old. I think everybody is excited. I don't think this is a sugar high. Somebody asked me this question the other day, and I like to think, we had to go watch Joe Biden go up there and not be able to talk to Donald Trump on abortion rights.
Got it.
I saw one question in here that said, "How do we ask questions?"
Wrong chat.
Tell people how to do that. Yeah.
We are taking our questions from our locals premium subscribers. Of course, we do have that promotion going on right now for 1 month free trial. BreakingPoints.com. DNC free is the promo code. So the one question that the chat has for you is Parker, how do you get young people excited about politics? Not everybody is a nerd like you knocking doors. That's no knock, by the way, because I was just like you.
Hey, I'm a very proud nerd. I worked hard for my public policy degree, but I got interested in it at a young age because I lost my dad.
Yeah.
He was in a labor union that kept my family out of debt. I knew what Social Security was because Survivor Social Security, third Wednesday of every month, that's when we could go to the grocery store. And not everybody has that lived experience of like knowing what the impact of public policy in your community. But you know what? I know everybody drives around in their city and sees something they don't like, sees something that's inefficient. My favorite saying is, my grandpa said this on his deathbed. The nurse asked him, "Are you allergic to anything?" He said, "Incompetence." And I look around government and I see too much incompetence and inefficiency, especially in local government. And if you want to see change, if you want things to be better, you can affect that change. I know a 23-year-old running for state house in Georgia, and he's going to win.
Let me just back that point up. Yeah. I was raised by a single mom on SSDI, which is a derivative of Social Security and food stamps, and it was quite visible. Exactly. You could see, okay, the government has done a thing, and our life is better today. And then a couple weeks later, your life's a little worse. Government does the thing again, your life's better for a couple weeks. You got the Nutri-Grain bars, like the good ones.
Yeah.
With name brand.
All right, now that we've got our SSD.
So, but you're right. It connects you.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It connects you to the value of government.
I agree.
No, it's really
any
true.
Any last words, Parker? Where can people find you?
So look, y'all can find me on Instagram at Parker.short. I don't really want to be an influencer. I don't really want to do this.
And
I just
you are.
I just want to be an organizer.
41,000 followers.
I want to keep pushing Georgia forward. Okay. There's a lot of progress to be made. Our state our state's let our people down. And you make up that point, Ryan, about SSDI. When Brian Kemp got elected governor, he changed the standards for Medicaid, specifically peach care, which is for children. And I lost my health care. And I was a little kid. Don't get me started on Brian Kemp.
All right.
But no, thank y'all for having me. Go to the youngdemsofga.org. We're having a convention next weekend in Atlanta. We'd love to have y'all. We're going to have a lot of great surrogates from the campaign, a lot of great young folks. Although, Chicago got the DNC, Atlanta got the Young Democrats of Georgia convention, and I promise you it's going to be far more lit, and I'm going to bring the energy. So I hope to see all y'all college students there at Georgia Tech. Get your tickets.
Are you going to be dancing with Bill John? Are you going to be dancing? That's
anything to get the young people to vote and make a change in their community.
I love it.
Well,
Matt, can we get the video up there again?
Yeah, one last video. Just your reminder. I mean, if you're going to come in here, we're going to have to.
So viral, by the way.
I mean, it genuinely was funny, and I actually think it's quite sweet.
I was just having a good time.
Yeah, look, we're happy for you.
Crystal was so excited about this interview. Crystal was so sad she couldn't be here. She loved these videos.
Yeah,
I understand you just interviewed a special guest. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Wolf, when we were doing the roll call yesterday, we were down here covering it from the floor. You may have seen a special guest in front of New York's delegation. That was Spike Lee. I just ran into him on the floor a few moments ago and asked him about what this convention means and what it means to have Vice President Harris at the top of the ticket. And this is what he told me. You're here at the Democratic convention. What does it mean for you to be here to see Vice President Harris as the Democratic nominee?
I wanted to be here. This is not history. This is her story. She's going to be the first woman to be president of this United States of America. Blended family, the whole Howard University, HU, so this is a amazing moment in the history of these United States of America. And we got to go forward, not backwards. We got to go forward. We got to advance. We want to bring equity around this nation where we will lead the world. So, I travel a lot of times and outside the United States, and when this guy was president, people, total strangers, will pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try not to say his name, but people.
So he's just like Whoopi Goldberg. They cannot say the name. That's how awful he is. Wow, that's amazing.
Total strangers on planes just walking around all over the world saying, what is wrong with America? How did that guy get elected? So those 4 years where the world was looking at us like with the side eye, like WTF. And we know what that means.
Wolf, that was over there by the New York delegation. Tonight, I'm standing here by the Minnesota delegation. Obviously, maybe one of the most excited ones here on the floor. That's because a Minnesotan has not been on a major party's presidential ticket in 4 decades, since Walter Mondale ran. And now, of course, Governor Tim Walz is preparing to speak in this convention hall tonight. And just to give you an indication of how excited they are as all the delegates are making their ways over to their seats, they have put Governor Walz's head on a 2-foot large sign to hold up tonight as he is going to be addressing this hall. And obviously what is one of the biggest moments of his political career, a moment for him to introduce himself. Out of all the speakers who were on that list tonight, he is probably one of the least known nationally. And so tonight he's going to be introduced.
What do you think the guy on the left is doing? I don't know. Is he protecting her? I don't know. He's just standing there. It's kind of weird. It's awkward.
Introducing himself, not just to those here in the room, certainly not the Minnesota delegation, but to everyone who is watching at home, Wolf.
And all of us here will be watching it very closely. Caitlin, thank you very, very much. Aaron, back to you.
All right, Wolf. And joining me now is Charlemagne the God, host of the Breakfast Club radio show. Also the author of the newest book here, Charlemagne, Get Honest or Die Lying, Why Small Talk.
Yeah, that light-skinned girl next to, I think her name is Angela White. She's always talk about racism, like she always.
What's up, Aaron?
And also the co-founder of Reason Choice Media. And Angela Rye is back, which is wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
Co-host of the Native Land Pod. All right, so you heard Spike Lee there. Mm-hmm. He's talking about Donald Trump. He doesn't like to say his name, but talking about how he feels that he believes that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president. You said something the other day, Charlemagne, that wasn't saying you don't think Trump can win, wasn't saying you don't think any of that. It was you don't think Trump wants to be president anymore. I just want to play it. Mm-hmm. Here it is.
I think I agree with Charlemagne. Charlemagne has always a very interesting point. He's like a prophet. Let me see. I don't think Trump wants to be president anymore. No, this is what I feel. I feel like before the like when he after he got shot, he really felt that he could win, and especially looking at Biden, how weak Biden is. Donald Trump likes to run after weak people. Like Biden, he's a bully. He likes to go after people that are weak. But like going after Kamala is like a force. She's younger. She's clear-minded. There was a time that Kamala wasn't talking right, but for some reason she became more coherent lately. I don't know what happened to her. She's very sharp right now.
He does not want to be the Republican nominee no more. He is hoping that Republicans do him the way the Democrats did Biden. He wants to be put out of his misery. You can hear it in his voice.
You believe that?
100%. I think, what Nikki Haley said when she said the first party to get rid of their 80-year-old candidate was going to win this election. I think that's going to come to be true. And I think that, he's just over it. I mean, the guy did just get shot at, a month ago? And I think there's some PTSD involved. I think everything that you're seeing right now from Donald Trump is just a response to trauma. He's just staying busy because he absolutely has nothing else to do. Or maybe it's just his ego saying, hey, I need to continue to run because I want to stay out of jail. But yes. I don't think he wants to be the...
But I agree with Angela. I think he wants to stay out of jail because once he won, it's kind of like Netanyahu wants to delay. Netanyahu from Israel, he wants to delay the prosecution by keeping the war going. He doesn't want the war to stop because he wants to stay in the war.
The nominee in any way, shape, or form.
Do you think that too? And do you think it goes back to that moment when he was shot at?
I don't think that part. I do think that he is running to stay out of jail. I think the Trump family saw quite a boost, even economically, from his presidency. And I think Donald Trump would do anything to stay out of jail. He has a bunch of folks who follow him. He won at least the Electoral College in 2016. And I think that's what this is about. I think that he has a huge ego and it gets in his own way.
At some point, you got to say enough is enough, though, right? At some point, it's not worth it. You got all of these criminal charges. You're getting shot at. I don't see no enthusiasm from him when he's on the trail. The joke's not even hitting no more. He's never been a big policy person. I don't think he wants to be out here no more.
So, but I mean, I guess, and you're talking on a traumatic basis.
I'm going to tell you what I think Charlemagne is trying to portray. I'm going to tell you what I feel. I think many people, and I think even Kyle Kolensky from the Secular Talk said that Donald Trump lately has lost his fire, his juice. Like back in 2016, Donald Trump was fire. You know what I'm saying? He was funny. Like even if you were on the other side, you were his enemy. You understood why he was so popular because you saw him as a very energetic demagogue. He had a lot of charisma, and the stuff that he was saying was different and out of line. And and people got tired of like the Mitt Romney and the Obama. I feel like people wanted like something like that can destroy something. A lot of people were talking about that. I think Joe Rogan said that sometimes you got to just throw something at something to fix it. But life doesn't work like that, especially in politics. You don't just pick somebody like Donald Trump that like doesn't have any coherence and then hope that things gonna fix by luck. This is politics is too complex. Actually, you need somebody that's actually very focused.
It's a psychological basis. But Charlemagne, what about the jail issue? I mean, if he loses, never mind pardons and whether Biden pardons him the way out. I mean, just say all that actually happens. You still have state charges that could result in a really long time in jail.
I don't think we'll ever see Donald Trump in a jail cell. He's a white man in America who was a former president. There's a different level of privilege with that. I don't think jail is actually an issue. I don't think we'll ever see Donald Trump in a jail cell.
Michelle Obama talked about that. That's the real affirmative action, the kind that lets you fail forward.
Absolutely.
So she did talk.
We've never even seen him in handcuffs. With all those criminal charges, we've never seen him in handcuffs.
Just
one
mugshot.
Like,
that's it.
No. Like I know people say that, like, oh, he's running because he wants to stay out of prison. Donald Trump is not going to prison. So I'm sticking to what I'm saying. I don't think Donald Trump wants to be. I don't think he wants to be running for president right now.
Definitely hasn't been sentenced yet.
Okay, you mentioned Michelle Obama. And what she said. Now she talked about. He had said, talked about black jobs, right?
Love that.
At the convention a couple weeks ago. So she made a comment about that last night, which was very well received in the room that we're sitting in here. Now let me just play her.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
The best was the face after, because we know what that means. And yeah, I think that the reality of it is this has been a black job only once before, and it's about to be a black job again. And the reality of it is, if Donald Trump was anybody else, even in the Republican Party, he would not be where he was.
Round of applause to Michelle Obama, too. A fantastic speech. The audacity of President Obama to go after her. He should have been opening for Michelle Obama.
I agree with that.
Yes.
That's interesting. All right, so can I ask you about RFK Jr.? I don't know if you just heard this, but we've just confirmed that he is going to get out on Friday, and that there's a discussion as to whether he will at that time formally endorse Trump. All right, so when you look at this, does that make a difference? Given, you've talked to every single one of these folks.
No. I mean, listen, I think that there is going to be a time in this country where there are third-party candidates who can have real impact. But when you say RFK Jr. got out, I mean, was he ever really in? Come on, we know it's a two-party system in this country. You know it's going to be a Democrat. You know it's going to be a Republican. Somebody like RFK Jr. never really had a chance.
He may not have had a chance, but he had some numbers. And I know there were questions, Angela, does it go Democrat? Does it go Republican? Do you think, and obviously endorsements are what they are, doesn't mean people are going to go along with it.
Yeah.
But does it help Trump if RFK Jr. does give that endorsement?
I think the only person that RFK Jr. is interested in helping is himself. He's shopping for cabinet positions. He says these crazy things. He's got these crazy conspiracies. He's been trying to land a plane on some type of virality for some time. It's not working.
Charlemagne, you've interviewed Kamala Harris.
Yep, a few times.
All right. And you everybody's come on your radio show. Everybody has to come on your radio show. She hasn't done a big interview in a while here, and certainly not since announcing. Are you going to talk to her soon? What do you think? What do you think she should do, or does she do better to ignore all those calls to talk and just keep doing what she's doing?
I think what she's been doing has worked because, what she's been doing is hitting the ground. And I think, sometimes we forget about the ground game in this digital era that we're in, this era of interviews. Sometimes, not sometimes, all the time when you're actually on the ground shaking hands, kissing babies, actually touching people, that goes a long way. And I think she'll get the interviews after the DNC. But, this week I think she got bigger fish to fry, like going out there tomorrow and knocking a home run speech out the park.
You know, the one thing on this that I think is so important is folks are spending a lot of time talking about what she's doing on the camera. There's also a behind the camera side. And I think one thing that's very consistent about Kamala Harris is you can best believe she's having conversations. She's going to have them on air, and she's certainly having them off air, and there's no gap between those two.
All right. Well, it's great to see both of you in
Thank
person
you for having us.
and together. All right. So thanks, and wonderful to see you both, Charlamagne the God and Angela Rye.
Great interview, guys. Great interview.
I want to bring in my panel now. Can I do it like this? I'm going to bring in my panel to talk about this, including CNN's Jamie.
A lot of people were very excited of the Democratic National Convention because they thought that it was very late.
Who actually has some news about how it's going to get a little more fun. What's up?
So one day only entertainment correspondent along with the wonderful CNN True Entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Wagmeister. We can report exclusively. We now know who the megastar musical performers are going to be tonight. Get ready. John Legend will be in the house. He will be performing, and you'll understand why in a minute, a tribute to another legend, Prince from Minnesota, in the lead up to none other than the Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's speech. That is tonight. Tomorrow night, if that wasn't enough, another megastar, Pink, will be performing. This has been a kept secret. You know, there were a lot of rumors about Beyonce. She is extraordinary. She is known for her high energy. Those who know something about the performance say she will be bringing down the house tomorrow night in the lead up to Vice President Kamala Harris.
Pink likes to dangle from the ceiling. So.
Yeah,
is that going to happen here?
You know, there are balloons there. You never know.
Very interesting. Okay, Scott, you said the GOP was the party of fun. What did you think about last night?
Oh, the musical, damn it, the bastards figured something out. The musical roll call. I'm up here. They had Van up here next to me. He was like Gregory Hines up here going crazy. I put it on X. it was cool, right? The roll call is like, normally just kind of that we go through the thing and everybody makes their little weird speech about their state. But the music and then getting Little Jonathan came out. And, but it was neat. And here's the thing. I love political conventions. I think the people who come to these things are the backbone of our sort of party system and our democracy. So I appreciate what they're trying to do to make it fun. So hats off. Good idea, Democrats. You got one.
Something tells me, since Scott's dancing reference was Gregory Hines, you probably don't have a lot of Lil Jon on your playlist.
He loves Little Jonathan. Little Jonathan. And with us now, we have our two CNN senior political commentators, David Urban and Van Jones, who is also our chief modern dance contributor.
Brianna, listen,
it turns out.
It took everything in my power to keep him seated
Roll that
while
video.
they were playing.
There it is.
Listen,
I'm going to kill Scott Jennings.
listen, when they were just playing Prince, I was having to hold Van down in the chair when they were just playing Prince here.
I'm going to kill
I tell you, Van's a good dancer.
Jennings. I was minding my own business like 50,000 other Democrats. Happy.
No privacy.
Not minding your own business. That's sharing your business. I love it.
Hey, listen, I got dad moves that would put the Huxtable to
I'm not
shame.
judging. I dance like Elaine from Seinfeld, so no judgment at all.
Why am I? Who put this? Can we talk about Donald Trump or somebody?
It looks great. Okay, hey, we'll move on. It's another big musical night,
I know.
though.
We're going to have to hold him down, Velcro him down.
We're going to see. I don't know. Let him be free.
Let Van be Van.
Okay, so big night for Tim Walz. What do you think he needs to do here to introduce himself, as Republicans have really tried to define him?
Well, look, I think that he's done a good job so far. There have been some potholes, which I'm sure you'll jump on, in terms of how he got his family started, some stuff on the military service. He's got to handle that. You can't have a third one of those where it seems like something's not exactly lining up. But the thing that people like about him is the thing that's hard to fake. It's the relatability. It's the authenticity. It's the way that he just seems like somebody's dad you grew up with, and he just needs to fill that in, and I think he's going to be fine.
What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I'm not even going to knock on those things that Van's talking about, because that's all out in the public domain. What I think Walz needs to do is he needs to make this convention more relatable to people. Listen, this is a base convention, right? The Republican convention is a base convention.
Yeah.
You're talking to your base. That's what you're out there for. But what Kamala Harris should do is expand her base, right? Go after the swing counties in Pennsylvania. I'm just always focused on Pennsylvania. So Erie County, Pennsylvania, white working class guys in Erie County, Pennsylvania. Tim Walz has to be like the Bass Pro guy. Scott and I were talking earlier. He has to be the Bass Pro guy showing up at the Bass Pro shop in Erie County, Pennsylvania, or in Harrisburg. He's got to make it more relatable to those kind of voters that want to connect but don't feel a connection at this point, right? They watched Barack Obama. They watched Kamala Harris. They see some other folks. They're like, that's not really relatable. That party's not my party. If Tim Walz could do that, it'll be a tougher race. And interestingly, Brianna, what I noticed over the past 2 nights with President Obama and Michelle Obama and former Secretary Clinton, they have this cautionary tale. They're giving a cautionary tale of, listen, guys, I know you feel good here, but we've been through this already. We've seen the football been moved. Donald Trump is going to be tough. And when we leave here, we're going to have to get tough.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. But I do want to talk about this moment from Barack Obama last night, a moment that I'm not sure we all saw coming. Here it is.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
See, I'm shocked because after Donald Trump was so gracious yesterday, he said such nice things to Kristen Holmes about Barack and Michelle Obama. He was so kind to them. And for Barack, it's just mean-spirited. Mean-spirited. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, look, I was surprised. I think there's a strategy here to see if you can keep Trump crazy. If you can keep him reacting.
Like trigger him, basically?
Trigger him, keep him reacting, keep him saying straight nutty stuff, because the Republicans desperately would like for Donald Trump to talk about something remotely relevant to the world besides himself. And so if you can keep him upset, maybe you keep him off balance.
I mean, imagine if he does it. If Donald Trump starts talking about issues, right? So we've had the best, that's 32 days probably, the best 32 days of any modern campaign in American political history. And Kamala Harris and this campaign are still tied and neck and behind in some states. So if Donald Trump gets back on message, Barack Obama, Secretary Clinton, all those warnings about be careful, he's a tough guy, tough campaigner, going to hold true.
Yeah, he might be his own worst enemy, and it seems like they are trying to keep him in that role. I do want to play a moment from Michelle Obama, which was one of her big ones last night. Here it is.
For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of 2 hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
That was a great line. I love that line. That line was awesome.
Look, I think that she had something to get off her chest.
Oh, for sure. She came to play.
Yeah, and I think that it has been troubling to watch this kind of, it feels like a double standard. Like Donald Trump seems like he can get away with anything and be forgiven, and they were held to such a ridiculously high standard that it was a scandal when he wore a tan suit. And I think when you carry that, I think she has some stuff to get off her chest. And she was speaking for not just for herself. I think there's a lot of people who feel like this so-called DEI backlash or whatever is really just code for stay in your place. Or if you got there, you didn't earn it. And given how hard people are working to get places in the black community, the brown community, and other communities, she's speaking for a lot of people.
But Trump is winning over some black men,
yes, she is.
Latino men, and that is a real problem for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris has got a big problem, right? I watched a Benny Johnson video out here in the south side of Chicago, walking around a strip mall with a microphone saying, who you vote for, going after African-American men. Donald Trump. This is Barack Obama's hometown. Donald Trump in the city of Philadelphia. Donald Trump has a great deal of support from African-American men. You know, one of the things that I note is lacking from a lot of this programming as well, a lot of outreach to the Hispanic community. I mean, I don't see a lot of Hispanics on the stage, right? And so they got a lot of work to do. There's going to be a lot of work to do in the Hispanic community. People, the folks who are in the middle class feel the pinch on the economy, on immigration in their communities. It's going to be a real race. Look, nobody thinks it's going to be easy.
No.
It's going to be down to a few votes in all these states and all these counties, and that's why it's important.
She's got work to do clawing back some of these young black men who want to hear that I want you to be successful economically, to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur. It can't all be government programs. That's not landing well with these young black men. When they hear opportunity, do you mean charity? They want to be owners. They want to be builders. If she speaks to them in that way and listens to them on that point, she can get them back. But right now, she's got work to do.
And Trump still has the aura of strong businessman. I build things. I'm a tough.
That's true to what they are saying. It is true what this guy is saying. It's like the difference between Kamala and the left and the Republicans. That the left they talk about too much about giving thanks. The right wing is like the image of the alpha male Trump and the builder of business and the entrepreneurs and Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is more is supporting Donald Trump right now. So that kind of image of like entrepreneurship and like what is it? Lifting yourself up by your bootstrap. That kind of philosophy makes people. Especially men like that more because that makes them think of like they take accountability. They want to build themselves. They like a little bit more.
We're going after African American men. Donald Trump. This is Barack Obama's hometown. Donald Trump in the city of Philadelphia. Donald Trump has a great deal of support from African American men. You know, one of the things that I note is lacking from a lot of this programming as well. A lot of outreach to the Hispanic community. I mean, I don't see a lot of Hispanics on the stage, right? And so they got a lot of work to do. There's going to be a lot of work to do in the Hispanic community. People, the folks who are in the middle class feel the pinch on the economy, on immigration in their communities. Yep. It's going to be a real race. Look, nobody thinks it's going to be easy. No. It's going to be down to a few votes in all these states and all these counties, and that's why it's important.
She's got work to do clawing back some of these young black men who want to hear that I want you to be successful economically, to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur. It can't all be government programs. That's not landing well with these young black men. When they hear opportunity, do you mean charity? They want to be owners. They want to be builders. If she speaks to them in that way and listens to them on that point, she can get them back. But right now, she's got work to do.
And Trump still has the aura of strong businessman.
Trump has an appeal for the black man, which is more about like business and stuff like that. And Kamala is trying to appeal to that, but I don't know. At the end of the day, the way I look at this race, I think it's going to be extremely tight. I really believe that. I don't think it's going to be easy as we think. I think like it's going to be very tight. And we're going to see how clever Kamala Harris is. But for now, I think she's doing pretty good, man. I think it looks like she knows what she's doing. Let's see what happens when shit gets like tougher, But for now, she's doing pretty good. Like, I'm not going to say that she's doing bad for now. Like, but it's not over until it's over, guys. It's not over until it's over. Like, you have to see what will happen. Guys, I think I'm going to go. Have a good day, guys. Subscribe to